My name is Kayleen. I started this channel to promote my graphic memoir called Mom Remembers Me, to teach everybody everything that I learned, and I used my health and fitness knowledge to stop my mother with mild dementia from forgetting me, and it worked. And in the process, I decided I would write a graphic memoir, and then I decided, okay, I better start reading lots of graphic books to learn. And that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. And this is my second review of a graphic book. I wish I had started reading graphic books many, many decades ago. And I actually also wish I told my father about it. I think he would have liked it before he passed away. I don't think my mother ever would have, even before her dementia. But we know that pictures, all the brain books talk about that looking at pictures is more challenging to our brain than actually playing chess or even crossword puzzles. So looking at pictures is always really helpful for your brain as well. So here is my review of the graphic Canon book. So I wanted to share some of the artwork from this graphic Canon of crime and mystery. This is volume 1. It just came out earlier this year. Today is November 18th, 2022. I really like, this is the third one of these graphic canons that I've read. And I really do believe that, reading some books that are hard to read as a text, of course, if you read someone that did the graphics, it helps you understand a lot. So I wanted to go over this one and share what I like about it. Of course, if I don't touch on something, it doesn't mean I didn't dislike it. No disparaging of the people I don't mention. I don't want to make the video too long, but see, this is a library book. I love the library. If you want to keep on reading, we all want to keep on reading, visit the library. And this is the whole table of contents for this book. He has it separated by the act. Part 2 is criminals. Part 3 is whodunit. Part 4 is judgment. And part 5 is punishment. And of course, when you see some of the authors that I've actually recognized before. And Russ Kirk, who introduces every single one, does a very good job, and obviously is very knowledgeable with all of these great literature. So this starts off with, I like the Murderer's Wine, and by Charles Baudelaire. I should know how to pronounce that a little bit better since I'm French. And the art is by Alex Ekman Lawn. Now see, the art is really good here. I'm not going to give you guys the whole story, but I kind of wanted to give you a little taster. And so maybe I'll send you to the library or purchase the book. And then there are some times in this book where I have made notes that I want to copy because I'm trying to improve my art, and they always keep saying, and just like everything, if you want to get better at something, you try to copy somebody else, from sports to athletics, of course, and art and writing, everything. So I like the art in this first story. It was different. And also sometimes when you do read the actual text version, I think seeing somebody else's adaptation and what they visualize, seeing it always helps you. This one I really like. This was kind of good, the way it broke up the panels. So, and of course, everybody's kind of heard of Crime and Punishment, Dostoevsky, art by Rick Gary. I think sometimes the literature people, and maybe even kind of what we might call snobby people, give us the impression that we should have definitely read all these great works of literature, and I have tried to read some of them and put them down within a chapter because it was just too hard to read because the writing was old. We're not used to it. So of course, when you look at it here, so the art for this Rick Gary, I looked up some of his other books. He has done a lot of non-fiction books, even I saw about Jack the Ripper, some of those other ones. I'm going to borrow some of those from the library as well. So I'm trying to steal ideas from my graphic memoir, Mom Remembers Me, which I told you about in the beginning. So the art here is kind of interesting. I mostly always like color, but when it's interesting black and white, and they spent a lot of efforts making the panels and the different different views versus regular view and ant's eye view and aerial view. Always, I'm intrigued and amazed at and awe. So this art was really cool. And then you can understand what happened, and you can get the little history of Dostoevsky and why he did it. This next one, Fratricide by Franz Kafka, which there's a couple episodes of The Amazing Race when they're in Franz Kafka's home country, which I don't recall what that is right now. If you know, make a comment and let me know which country Franz Kafka is from. I know I could look it up online, but if you know off the top of your head, don't cheat. And look, so the art here was good too, and the colors really good, and the views and how he showed it to us. I really liked this colors. So in this one, the postman always rings twice. Of course, I haven't read this book, but I have watched this movie several times with Lana Turner, and Russ Kirk even mentions here in the intro about the Lana Turner movie. And it's an interesting story and what happens. I'm not going to give it away, but the art here was good, and how he shows both sides, what's happening in both people's heads, and what's but this is actually the gentleman that she has an affair with. I'll give you that much. You should also watch the Lana Turner movie. Here we go. Of course, I would bet that the artist here deliberately did not make this woman look anything like Lana Turner. But this was good too. I like this. And actually the ending of the movie kind of looks like that too, so they could have copied. You never know. So then, The Stranger on a Train. I'm sure almost everybody knows this story, Strangers on a Train. And I've seen this story redone several times, and I'm kind of a crime show junkie. I've seen crime shows kind of copy this idea several times. Maybe they realize young people don't know that this has been around for quite a while. But and then the colors were good here. Easy to understand. Sometimes when some of the artists have a different view, it's hard to understand, but this one was very good. If you haven't seen the original Alfred Hitchcock, Strangers on a Train, and I can't recall what the names of the actors are in that movie, but that's an awesome movie too, if you want classic literature. So I'm going to jump over a few other stories here to jump to the Body Snatchers, and I think almost everybody has heard of the Body Snatchers, right? The Body Snatchers by Robert Louis Stevenson, and the art by Creota Wilberg. So this was easy to understand, and the colors look like old-fashioned comics, which I really liked. Of course, I told you that I love colors, so this was really good. Resurrected by Creota Wilberg. I like the Resurrected by. And they did in the old days, because I read a lot of health information, like even Da Vinci, they would steal bodies from cemeteries to learn what everything looks like. And it's hard to understand now and think about how way back then, before x-rays, they didn't know what the inside of the body looked like, so they had to cut it open, and if the person wasn't agreeable or didn't give their body to science, they would steal the body. So these colors are good. I think some of them even look like some of my anatomy books that I had to study for my master's. These pictures. And this one was good too. I really liked the colors and the story. I went over that too fast for you. Sorry about that. This was The Power of Eloquence, A Tale from Japan, and art by James Ragg. I don't have any of these copied, but I probably might copy this gentleman's face here. That's a really good. I like copying some of the facial expressions when the artist is really good copy. But they always say, artists have so many different opinions, but a lot of times they say it's in the eyebrows, right? His eyebrows are looking down, his eyebrows are up. You can see what the expressions is. good, more really pretty colors and good adaptation to the storyline. And what's coming in his head and what happened. And then it has an interesting ending. This one has a definitely interesting ending. See the end? He did kind of trick him. It's kind of sad that he tricked him for money. You gotta read the story. I'm jumping over a few more here to this one. Now, I've always remembered this story, The Judgment of Solomon, and this is from the First Book of Kings, an art by Canon. And the art here is different. It makes you really, really think. But if you don't know the story of the Judgment of Solomon, definitely read this. It's really, this Solomon, maybe Solomon was a really very wise leader, what he did to try to find out the truth. And I think even as an artist, I think all of us think that sometimes our art has to look a certain way for other people to like it. And from reading all these graphic books that I've been reading a lot for the past 4 years, and I didn't read them growing up. I didn't really like them, but I started reading them to learn for my book, and now I love them. I actually wish that I had learned about them before my father passed away and told my father to start reading them. I know he would have liked them too. See, this is the story of Solomon and how he found out whose baby it really was. And this story and this art was good, and I'm going to copy. This is Oedipus Tyrannus, so from way back, Sophocles, art by Benjamin Frisch. So this art was really cool. I really like this too. Even though it's black and white, it was interesting. Really made me wanted to look at how we set everything up. And I'm going to copy some of these facial expressions in my journal, my sketchbook. See, I really like that one. Look at that. Those eyes and those eyebrows, right? I'm gonna keep my bookmark in here so I remember to pull out my journal and copy that. Having some troubles here. And this art too. I really like this expression, this expression. It has an interesting story. All these stories have a different twist. Whenever authors, writers have so much creativity, I'm always in awe of them, come up with an idea. But a lot of times I know that writers think about a what if. They make up a new scenario just by going to themselves, what if this happened? Or what if that happened? I see that in movies sometimes when I think that the writer just threw it up there in the air, like, what if that happened? And they just go with it. I hope you're liking this. If you are liking it, I know all of us YouTubers harass the bejeebus out of you guys to like and subscribe, but I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed so more people will see, especially when my book is almost going to be out. I'm almost finished with my book, Mom Remembers Me, and I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to publish it yet, but I want more people to see it. This was a neat story too, the 3 apples from the Arabian Nights. And I really like the colors and the story. It's easy art, but sometimes the easy art gets the job done. Even though it looks easy, I'm sure the artist, and this artist was Glynis Fox, spent a lot of time thinking about it. And not everything has to fit into a certain box, right? We can all be creative and even do the opposite of the color wheel. There's no reason why you gotta follow the color wheel and the color philosophy, because everybody's brain doesn't go the same way, and we know that, and I know that from taking care of my mother. I wanted to jump over this. This is a very long story. The last one that I wanted to go over is this one, Jesus and the Adulteress, from the Gospel of John, art by Roberta Gregory. I like this storyline, and in this story it talks about how Roberta Gregory had a hard time describing how she was going to describe Jesus until she thought about the hand. That's a really creative idea, looking down at everybody. And see, it's only 2 pages, but it says a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more here that I wanted. Oh, a couple more here. This one, the art on here is really flowing. This is Simona and Pasquina by Boccaccio. I need some help pronouncing that. By David Tripp. So the art in here is fantastic too. He always gives everything a pointed note, pointed chins. And what happens in this story, see, I have this copy because I want to copy the facial expressions, how David Tripp did it. Oh, and the Scarlet Letter. I keep thinking I'm ending. I don't want to make this video go too long, so you give up on me. Just put in the comments if you know in the Scarlet Letter, without looking it up, who was the father of Hester Prynne's baby. If you know the story, Demi Moore, and Russ Kirk did mention the Demi Moore movie in this introduction, but that's a classic. I think that's a classic, and of course Demi Moore is an awesome actress. But her adaptation of this book is a classic, and of course we know that even though it's fiction, a lot of fiction writers, I believe, from all my reading in my lifetime, they get their ideas from real life, but they have to call it fiction. So if you know, without looking it up, who the father of Hester Prynne's baby was, and she never told her whole community who she slept with and had the baby because her husband was off at sea, let me know. It's very interesting. See, this was good art, good story, good adaptation. I really like this one too. Oh, and the last one I wanted to, no, I know I keep saying last one. Sorry about that. Prometheus Round by Ellis Rosen. This guy was going to help mortals out, and Zeus was mad at him for helping mortals because Zeus wanted to kill all the mortals. And he came down and told the mortals how to build fire to survive. This has an interesting ending too. And the art is excellent, like I said, even though it's black and white. Look at this dragon, flying dragon. And then what else happens with this cow? It's really good. And I like his expression. I'm going to copy his expression in my journal too. And that's it. As promised, I finally finished. So again, this is the Graphic Canon Volume 1. There's several volumes. Russ Kirk, I think, has 6 of these books out. 2 crime mystery, and then old classic literature, epic Gilgamesh, which I read that too. So I highly recommend it. So if you liked this, my little video here, please let me know. And if you have any other specific reviews you'd like, even if I've read it already in the past, I'll do it. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.